1976. The Sandock-Austral factory complex, Boksburg, east of Johannesburg. A machine rolls off the production line that no Western military doctrine says should exist. It rides on 6 rubber tyres, not tracks. It weighs less than 19 tons. Its hull is welded steel barely 20 millimeters thick at its strongest point, enough to stop rifle rounds and shrapnel, nothing more. It stands taller than a truck, wider than a bus, and its silhouette on flat ground would make any tank commander smile. On paper, it is too big to hide, too thin to survive, and too lightly armed to fight anything heavier than an armoured car. It looked like a coffin on wheels. Within 12 years, vehicles exactly like this one would fight in the largest conventional battles on the African continent since the Second World War, destroy dozens of Soviet-supplied T-54 and T-55 tanks in open combat, shatter entire enemy brigades reinforced by Cuban armour, and force a strategic realignment that contributed to the independence of Namibia and the end of the Cold War in southern Africa. It would serve in more African conflicts, equip more African armies, and cover more operational distance than any infantry fighting vehicle ever built on the continent. Its designation was the Ratel, named after the honey badger, and it was the war machine that apartheid South Africa was never supposed to be able to build. To understand why the Ratel existed, you need to understand the problem South Africa faced in 1968. The country was an international pariah. The Sharpeville massacre of 1960 had poisoned relations with Britain, the traditional arms supplier. France and West Germany were willing to deal quietly, but the political window was closing. A voluntary United Nations arms embargo had been in place since 1963. By 1977 it would become mandatory under Security Council Resolution 418, the first binding arms embargo ever imposed on a member state. South Africa could not buy tanks. It could not buy infantry fighting vehicles. It could not buy the components to build them from anyone willing to sell openly. And South Africa needed them desperately. Its mandate territory of Southwest Africa, modern Namibia, shared a border with Angola that stretched over 1,300 kilometres of featureless, roadless bush. The Southwest Africa People's Organisation, SWAPO, was launching cross-border insurgent raids from Angolan bases. Behind SWAPO stood the Angolan Armed Forces, FAPLA, equipped and advised by the Soviet Union and reinforced by thousands of Cuban combat troops. Behind them stood hundreds of Soviet T-34 and T-54 tanks, BMP infantry fighting vehicles, BTR armoured personnel carriers, and a modern air force flying Soviet MiG fighters. South Africa's existing armour was inadequate. The eland,